ethics have changed. The concept of morality has changed. What was considered immoral earlier is now considered moral.
Hello and welcome to Nation Talks, a Metamorphs initiative, and I'm Preeti Prakash. Metamorphs is a non-profit organization conceived and fostered by 10 defense veterans committed to nation building, restoring social values in society, nurturing lost glory of veterans, and thus contributing positively in whichever ways they can. How correct are we when we say that moral values and ethics in society have just plummeted? And that with this going rate, the future of interpersonal relations and ages old societal values will be extinct like the dinosaurs. Well, every generation has its own set of values that may not be essentially wrong. It's just their perspective. It's also a matter of who defines these values and ethical codes. What role can our education system play in this? For us, our grandparents did it. Then our parents did that probably for us, defining what moral values are and ethics are. But we may not be able to do it for our children. Why? Because the times are changing. To discuss on this, I have with me Dr. Mukul Kapoor, Director Anesthesia, Max Super Specialty Hospital, Saket, Delhi. He's a prolific orator, having talked about behavioral and ethical aspects at Indian Medical Association and many, many other such forums. Welcome, Dr. Kapoor, to Nation Talks.
Thank you, Preeti.
She's counselor at a leading chain of schools. If I may name it, it's DPS Greater Noida. Welcome, Mahima. Then I have Dakshina Hazarika, who's just completed her undergrad in law from NLU Gandhinagar and is ready to fly out in the world of opportunities.
Hello everyone, I'm Dakshina.
Hi, and welcome, Dakshina. Then Prachur Goyal, he is a professional working in Bangalore. He is the millennial like Dakshina is. He's director of Socrates Foundation for Collective Wisdom. He has rich experience in working in education and training sector. So welcome to all my guests today. Let me start by asking Prachur. Does the younger generation uphold the accepted norms of ethics and morals in today's world? And how does one actually really define ethics and morality today?
I think you've captured some of the key questions very well in your introduction when you said that every generation defines ethics and morality differently. And the parents and the older generations play an important role in inculcating what is important for them in the mind. And I think that still holds true today. I think the influence of parents and grandparents and family and community on whatever values that we have cannot be understated. I don't think it has gone away. Maybe reduced a little bit, but it has definitely not gone away. And I think that what we are faced with today is a completely different world from what even when I was born. I mean, I was born in pre-liberalized India. Dakshina here is born in liberalized India, and rest of the panelists have maybe fonder memories of waiting for years for landlines to come home. But our generation is used to getting, video messages at the click of a button. And with that comes a greater amount of exposure and access to something that were completely unheard of and unthinkable for our previous generation. And I think that's where the challenge has been. That for the world has changed so rapidly in the last 20, 30 years. And the pace of change is increasing. That whatever social change that used to happen over centuries is now happening over decades. And the understanding of how do we transmit our social understandings, our norms, our whatever we hold dear to a generation that is not, bound by the old social norms of earlier. It doesn't. It wants change. It wants It wants opportunity, it wants desire. And maybe the generation that was before me didn't have that opportunity, didn't have that access when they were growing up. I mean, I used to teach kids in a slum in Bombay, and their exposure was much more than what I had when I grew up in the 90s. I mean, these were all born up in 2000. So the world has changed, and I think thinking of, I think the question that we need to ask is that if our values we are not able to, if we're not able to communicate to young people, what is it that makes us who we are? What is important for us? What are the values that we must hold? Then I think we have to do some deeper reflection and think through on how can we communicate that better. Maybe it's not important. If it is important, then maybe we can make young people realize it. And that's something that we need to think through. The old methods of power, of dominating just because we are older, you should listen to us, that's not going to work. Young India is changing. Young India is changing. Young India is demanding access. Social structures are crumbling. Earlier, you had a small elite that had access to opportunity, and many others were sort of very accepting of the social structures. Now people don't. Even somebody who is poor wants respect. Even a woman now wants identity, respect, dignity. It's not that they didn't want it earlier, but there were such strict social norms that it was harder for them to articulate it. But now they see the world, they see the other people around the world having independence and opportunity, that all of them want the same thing. And it's not wrong. But as Gandhi used to say, right, that I don't want my house to be closed and walled on all sides. I want the breeze from all over the world to come into my house. But I don't want to be swept off my own feet. Right? So I think, and we are all a part of society. If the society feels that we are getting swept off our own feet, then maybe we didn't have such strong values in the first place. That it's making it easy for everybody to get swept off by the modern craze.
Dakshina, what will your views be on the generally accepted norms? And how will you like to define ethics and morality today? You particularly being a law student, I'm sure you have a different insight into this.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this opportunity. I would like to start by saying that we need to understand what ethics is exactly. So when we boil down and dissect the word itself, it's something that is the acceptable standard of any society at any time, any point of time, and it's judged by an average person or the society at large. And I believe that due to like various factors like globalization and influx of different ideas and technological advancements, the average person itself has changed. The average person or the Indian society right now is not how we started, or right now it's not how the traditional values were. So I would like to begin by saying that the ethical and moral values has not changed just in the contemporary generation, but it has changed in the average person itself because of various reasons. Like Sir just talked about, how the accepted norms of today's world and like how it's different from the earlier generation, because earlier it was mostly flowed through parents and teachers and family values. But right now I believe that it's not just bound to the primary circle. It's more to do with the secondary circle, as everyone's working right now, and all the families are usually nuclear families. So the focus has shifted to kind of the secondary circle, which includes friend circle, the schools, social media, the wide influx of internet, etc. So of course the ethical values have changed, but to what extent I would go to say that the traditional values, the moral traditional values were good, and the today's traditional values have derogated in a sense. I wouldn't say it has derogated completely, because there was this research that was done by Revel and Arthur, and they have published a book on it. They took 1,000 students and they asked what morality and ethics for them are. And 70% of the students knew what was right and wrong, what compassion is, what honesty is. So even though the perception of ethics and the perception of morals have changed. The basic tenets of ethics, I believe, remains the same. It's only because of the wide exposure and people coming out with their voices, people having opinions, is why I think there is kind of a changed perception. Of course, the traditional values have changed to an extent, and I believe that would change with every generation.
Mahima, what do you have to say about this?
I very much agree with Dakshina. Rather, I would say that if we say that the ethics and morals have changed in the contemporary society, then we also need to look into what were the values and ethics in the previous time. Were they actually legible? Were they actually easy to be accepted? Or do we need to relook into that? And the current generation, if I talk about the current generation, the change that has happened is that now we have started, the generation has started opinionating themselves. They started raising their voice towards what is right and what is wrong. Initially, when the society was in a developing stage, we were only trying to meet our basic needs. Now we are moved ahead, and we know we'll be able to satisfy our basic needs. Now what else do we need to do, right? And this is what we are also teaching our children. Of course, living in a nuclear society has imbibed a little more responsibility upon us, because being both the parents, we need to work, we need to manage our house, and also teach morals and values to our children. But then, talking about morals and values, I feel that we ourselves need to reflect on what is right and what is wrong, rather than just taking forward the legacy of the values and morals.
Dr. Kapoor, with grown-up children, there's a different perspective of parents also, I think. As parents and as a medical professional, you like to share your views with us.
Preeti, I am the oldest in this group. And I am, maybe my views will be divergent from the views of all the others. And I'll tell you something. I agree very much with Prachur and Mahima as well as Dakshina about certain things. But what has happened is, I would call the current status of ethics as new ethics. New ethics are what is there today. The ethics today are very influenced by the Western world. They weren't influenced by the Western world when I was young. When I was young, I would be beaten also at home. I would be, punished, and you can't do that today. And if I punish somebody, the child will go to Mahima, and Mahima, the first thing she'll say is, no, the parents are not bringing them up properly. I feel that even despite getting beaten up, despite getting all the problems, I'm okay. I've done well in life, and it is not that I have got some psychiatric problems or something, but that's different. Of course, that's something different. But ethics have changed. The concept of morality has changed. What was considered immoral earlier is now considered moral. For example, a live-in marriage. I mean, it's very acceptable today because, again, the Western influence. It was not acceptable in our country earlier. Today it is. And so the ethics have been changing over the years, and maybe certain things to the right, on the right side, and certain things on the wrong side. When we were young, we would work for the common man. We would work for our neighbors. We would work for people in our school. We'll help out people in our school. That is not happening today. What is happening is, you want traditional, some NGO there. You go and work for an NGO. Yes, they are ready to work. I'm not saying they're not ready. The young people go and work for NGOs. They work for certain bodies, but they are not ready to work for their neighbors. I feel that the disconnect is there between the people around you and the people who are working in organized sector, like an organized NGO. That is one thing which is different today. People are not so well aware of the relatives. Let me do. Relatives are a very strong force which help you along your passage in life. Relatives, they are very disconnected from relatives also as compared to earlier times. See, earlier times, if it was summer vacations, I would go and stay with my bua or with my nani or somebody else. I would go and stay. My bonding with my relatives was very strong, which isn't there today. And it is there. I'm not saying they don't get along with the relatives, though, but the bonding is not what it used to be. The bonding is different. So actually, I don't blame it. I don't say it's wrong. It may be right to be bonding more with your friends. It may be right to bond with your colleagues. Agreed. But the values have changed. That is what I would like to say.
But there is a school of thought, and at least the old school of thought does say that all these things have eroded over the time. There has been erosion in our values, and in this generation, which is the, so in case for once also you think yes there is an erosion, will you blame, so will you say that is it society, it's the upbringing, or it's the education system, or the environment which has brought in this kind of change in this generation? What do you say, Dr. Kapoor?
I wouldn't say it's a change. The change has occurred over time, and the change is partially the parents are responsible for it. The nuclear family system is responsible for it. Even if it was a nuclear family earlier, like we were always in a nuclear family. Even from my childhood, I was in a nuclear family, but my mother wasn't working, so my mother was with me all the time. Today, mothers are working, and I don't blame the mothers. They come home late at night. If you're in the mother is in a bank job or in a professional, she comes home at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. Father is also coming late. The child does not have an interaction with the mother at all. So as a result, he gets his values from his mobile phone. If you saw yesterday's paper, it says that children who are 5 years old or 6 years old, 50% of them have got their own mobiles, because after the onset of the COVID epidemic, the mobiles are very dangerous because this child cannot be able to differentiate between a good post and a bad post. There is a lot of misinformation in the mobiles. There's a lot of wrong things which are there on the social network. Every day, falsehood is, and it depends on what the child is picking up from this thing. And the poor chap, I'm not blaming the child. He doesn't know what is right and what is wrong. There's nobody to guide the child on what to see on the mobile. Yesterday, I was talking to my servant's son. He's 8 years old. And he's 8 years old. He's on online classes. He's in the EWS, but he's attending online classes. So I asked him, do you talk to your friends on the mobile? You got a mobile with you now? He says, no, I am on Facebook. I've got 40 friends on Facebook. So this, I don't know whom he has gathered on Facebook, whether they're classmates or it's just random people he has picked up and has become friends with. So the influencers are very different, and the influencers can make a lot of difference to their upbringing.
Little short statement about this from Mahima, who is a counselor, that is it the environment really, or the education system, or the society which is responsible for whatever value systems?
I feel it's more of the environment and society, because education system I feel has always been like this most of the time, and it has only been gradually evolving towards the positives. But then of course, like Mukul sir mentioned, Dr. Mukul mentioned that of course since both the parents are working and we are into a nuclear setup, of course the child is more into his own social and virtual environment. And considering the current scenario, of course, there is no other avenue to move out to. And there's a whole great world out there on internet where they can look up to, and it is important. I feel it is important for a parent to, even if I know we all are busy in today's time, we all are very much busy. We have our work, we have our house, everything to manage. But then it is very important to give time to your child. Just giving different facilities or luxuries to your child doesn't sum up into you being a good parent. Until and unless you hold a very strong relationship, interpersonal bond with your child, you will not be able to imbibe into the child what is right and what is wrong. Right? So I would say it is a sum up of all the things all together, and also the current situation is playing a major role.
Going back to the younger lot, Prachur, how do you define success? If you were to be asked, you're working as a professional, what is success for you? Is it power, fame, money, material, or is it knowledge, satisfaction, evolution? How will you look at it?
I think it's a combination of everything, right? Just to give some background, I graduated from IIT and I didn't take up a professional career, and I went into social work. And the reason for that is that I wanted satisfaction. I wanted to see the change or make India a more equal, a more just, a more human place. But I would say that I think even in the social sector, I think all of us want some purpose in our life. Even if you take a regular corporate job, all of us want some purpose. All of us want a goal that we're working towards, which is not just a paycheck. which is beyond a paycheck, which is something that we feel proud of, and a community of people that we want to work with. So I think, and as we grow older, all of us want some more influence and say. So personally speaking, I think all of us work towards things that are valuable for us, that are important for us. I would say, generally speaking, I think I would contest Mr. Kapoor on a couple of points, but I think broadly on, I mean, especially on mobiles, because research has showed that older people are more susceptible to fake news than younger people because they've not learned how to differentiate between fake news and real news. But on the engagement to community, I think I would agree. Even between my parents, right? Whenever my mother comes home, her interaction with my neighbors is much more than I have had while living there. So the whole understanding of, and I think Raghuram Rajan also spoke about this in his book when he said that community as a pillar. We have Sarkar, we have markets, but I think the community as a pillar in our society, its value has definitely gone down. I think what would be important is that in our education system, we bring that aspect back. And when we say, when your generation and when the older people learned it from their parents and grandparents, it's because at that time, you had this sense of newly independent India, you engage with the society, you engage with the people around you, and as Dr. Kapoor said, you worked with the common, you worked for the commonness, you spoke to them, you met them. Now we have, I would say that maybe the fault is somewhat on the parents. We have insulated our kids so much and focus them too much on academic examination oriented education and not make them engage with the community. Our schools don't make them engage with the community. I mean, why don't we go on field visits? Why don't we go and see the world? Schools should take kids to farms. They should take them to museums. They should take them to different places. They should let them immerse. They should see different sides of the society. They should engage with different classes, communities. So I think, and that can be done both in school and outside of school. And I think if we do that, then I think once you start engaging, if you don't engage with the society, then I think you will basically move to a world which is, which provides you, which gives you the best material comfort. But if you don't, but if you are connected to a society both from emotionally and from the heart, then you would also want. I mean, we are connected with our family from the heart, right? They might not be the most prosperous ones on the world, but we are connected to them. So I think if we make our kids connect to society, both from family and school, then I think we'll see much more engagement, much more interest, much more, say, a more holistic sense of definition of success than just a monetary.
How does Dakshina define success? Money, material, or knowledge satisfaction, evolution?
I believe that, of course, there is satisfaction and knowledge that is extremely important, but it's also important to reach a position where you can actually bring about change, because in our society, we talk a lot about bringing change and we talk a lot about the issues, like we just talked about the issue of, the disconnect with our neighbors and everything. But quite often we miss the step of why. So I think to bring about that change, you need to be in a position to give back to the society, right? We can't really give back to the society if we don't have that kind of, it would be utopian to say that, money does not matter at all to anyone. It would be a very utopian concept to say, because it does boil down to the resources. It's a very simple concept in economics, resources, and there are a lot of stakeholders that are fighting for those resources. So till you have that resource, you can't really help progress the society. When Dr. Kapoor said that there is a disconnect, we need to understand why, because right now the life is so fast paced, there's so much competition. There's also like an increased rate of crimes which lead to certain level of distrust between humans, because of which you can't interact with the society like they used to earlier. Like you can't go to a park and say hello to everyone without them thinking, you are some kind of a creep, or you want to take advantage of them in some way. You want money from them or something. Like even as, especially talking as a woman in India, if I'm walking in like the metro station and a random person tries to be nice to me, I would of course have my doubts. So I believe it's not just a generational thing, but more of an environmental thing and a societal thing. And also, I do believe that education can play a huge role in properly instilling morals and values.
How does your generation see success? Maybe the senior generation sees success in different terms. But the millennials, how does millennials define success?
For millennials, success is a culmination of both satisfaction and money. Like coming from a personal experience, me and including a lot of my colleagues from college, like we have gotten placements that offer us huge packages as law students. But a lot, I see that in my batch and maybe in my senior batches, there is a lot of backtrack from, say, the complete materialistic and monetary the run towards materialistic and monetary things, and they have taken a step back to like give back to the society in terms of doing a lot of pro bono work and thinking a lot about the environment and the degrading value of environment. So I would say that it's a culmination of everything.
Okay. Dr. Kapoor, how will you, in 2-3 sentences, how will you define success for this generation?
I would say that money is important. I agree with them. Money is important. And, with all these, whatever was enumerated is important. But what happens is, what I feel is possibly going wrong with some people. I'm very impressed by how Prachur described that he has gone into social work. I'm very impressed. I mean, that's how it should be. When you earn enough money, that is the time that you should either seek more knowledge or seek more social work or in addition to your earning money. Like today, I have enough money. I don't seek more money. Maybe I've worked for years and I've earned enough money. I don't seek more money, but I seek to teach people more. I'm into teaching. I teach MD students. So I teach them. I'm into teaching. So you do some kind of social work, which is related to expertise, you'll do very well. And like even if going to politics, I would say that people going into politics, young people going into politics, they do very well in politics because they do good for the nation. And that is how it should be. Earn money, have a good base, do not have, have to beg for your meals, earn a good amount of money, be comfortable, and then go in for a good amount of social work.
Now coming to Mahima, what is the youth you think is aiming for today, and what path do they take to achieve their goals? I mean, because, we see a lot of times that they're looking for faster money, faster success, instant fame. And so in that race, they're not generally very hardworking, which the earlier kind of people used to be, and they're not patient. Everything they want quick, everything fast. So how do you see today's children, going in this direction or evolving like this?
So I agree with your point that yes, they are a little impatient because I feel that because they have been given everything in hand, they have not seen the hard work, or they have not done that hard work that our earlier generation, or maybe Dr. Kapoor would agree with me that they have actually worked hard to get what they wanted. But if I consider a generation younger to me, maybe they are being given what they want. So there is a little bit less hard work that they needed to do along with that. But I feel that I'm really impressed with the current generation that they are actually seeking the purpose of their life, which I feel that I, or maybe a generation senior to me, were actually took a lot of time to understand what is the purpose of life, or what they they need to seek that purpose. But now the current generation, they're actually seeking that purpose of life right from their 20s or 25s or 30s, which is quite really good. And because of that, they are actually moving ahead towards a lot of social work also. Though there is a part of generation that looks towards an instant gratification for their materialistic needs, but I feel that a major part of generation is actually seeking towards their purpose of life and working towards the social development or environmental change, which was somewhere subsided some time back. So I would not say everybody is impatient, just a small section, but I'm quite impressed that they are towards seeking a purpose of life and working towards the societal change.
Prachur, if I was to give you an option between two, quick and instant gratification, whether it be money or material, or slow, take your time, patience, which one will you generally prefer? Just in, I'm just in 1 or 2 words, okay? Running out of time.
Whatever will last longer.
Oh, that's quite a diplomatic answer, in fact. But that doesn't, you haven't defined actually. Which one, this one or that one?
Oh, the faster one. Hoping
Okay.
it will last.
Okay. And Dakshina, how about you? Instant gratification with money, material, or patiently building over with your achievements?
Patiently building, because instant gratification never lasts.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to all my panelists. Thank you, Dr. Kapoor. Thank you, Prachur, Mahima, Dakshina, to
Thank
have
you.
joined us and shared your views with us. So don't forget, for my audience, don't forget sharing, subscribing, liking, and pressing the bell icon for such and more events like this. Do write in the comment section if you like our program, and we would like, and do give us suggestions on any topic that you will want us to discuss, and we'll bring that to you on Metamorphs. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and being here with us. Thank you.